Okay, so if you're a Big 12 fan, this next segment is for you. We're going to take a look around the Big 12 here for Week 7, do a recap and all of that. Let's do it right now here. Let's take a look at Big 12 Week 7. Starting on Friday night, man. This was a crazy game. Arizona State, they're putting their best foot forward here, winning 27-19 at home against Utah. Their fans stormed the field. Bo Scadaboo, 22 carries, 158 yards, 2 touchdowns, including the game-sealing touchdown. Kenny, I know you watched a lot of this game before you went to sleep.
Cam Rising is nowhere to be found. The guy that was playing in Cam Rising's uniform was not Cam Rising. This guy was cosplaying as Cam Rising. He was wearing a Cam Rising suit. I know Halloween's around the corner. He was probably dressing up as Cam Rising. It wasn't Cam Rising. I have no idea. Already?
He's done. He's done for the season.
Is he really?
Well, the coach said he's out indefinitely. And then a report came out saying he's eligible for his 8th season next year if he decides to use another red shirt. But yeah, no, he's out indefinitely. So they're going to go back to Isaac Wilson. I cannot believe it. I mean, he at this point, he's done 2 presidential terms. Oh, shoot.
Okay. Jokes aside, even though it's great, I love the fact that Utah start of the season said that they were going to run the Big 12, that this was a joke conference, and that there was, all this and all that. They were almost as bad as Colorado. Colorado still takes the cake for me. But Utah, I have no idea what you're doing now. I don't even know how you can even look at yourself in the mirror. It's crazy. Cam Rising was throwing at people's ankles.
And when he wasn't, he was throwing to the other team.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. Scadaboo, incredible. I mean, we already kind of touched on him. The dude is an absolute beast. Arizona State, you guys came to play, and honestly, their head coach Kenny Dillingham, whatever his name is, dude, 34-year-old head coach, youngest coach in the nation right now, or at least as far as I know.
Kenny Dillingham.
He is
great first name. Great first name, right?
Best first name, honestly. He is turning this. Listen, what you're looking at right now on the screen, this has been said by a bunch of people, is the preseason number 1 ranked team versus the preseason last place ranked team. My, how the turns have tabled. If you know that movie quote, that's a good movie quote. But my, how the tables have turned, the turntables.
The turntables. Well, how the turn, yeah.
I can't remember the movie quote, but I know it's a movie quote.
It's from the Office, actually.
That's right. Or yeah. My, how the turns have tabled.
Yeah.
Arizona is sitting at 5-1.
They cashed the over on wins on the season, and their coach said the only fans that bet on the over on the wins are Arizona State fans. He wants all you Arizona State fans to put that money back into the program, back into NIL collective, so they can get even better for next year. Monster win for them. Vaulted them right into the top 5 and into the conversation for the Big 12 championship.
Not a soul. Not a freaking Tom Terrible. Not a soul other than Arizona State diehards.
I agree.
Not even the majority of their fan base. Quite literally, the homers were the only ones, and even they were suspect of this. Even they were like, yeah, well, there's a chance we could get 5-1. No one was calling 5-1, and no one was calling a win over Utah at this week. No one was.
And, they know how to win a couple close games, man, and they won a close game at Texas State. They won a close game a week ago against Kansas. They won a close game against Utah here. They're going to be a tough out, dude. They really are, and they're going to play K-State later this season. That's going to be a fun game, man, because they got
At home though.
Yes,
They're
it
coming
is in
to
Bill Snyder Family Stadium, so I'm definitely going to be picking K-State. But this was a monster win for them against Utah for sure. So
this. It's funny because the teams that came to the Big 12, they're just cutting each other's legs off. You know, like Arizona takes out Utah, then Arizona State takes out Utah, and then they're just BYU is taking out Arizona. It's like they're just cutting each other's legs off the whole time. It super fun game. I am really happy for Arizona State fans. You guys deserve every single moment of what you're experiencing right now. I mean, you should be over the moon.
They should be ranked, dude. They should be ranked in the top 25, man.
Easily, man. How are you going to be 5-1 and you beat a ranked team that was ranked higher than K-State and you're still not ranked?
That makes no sense to me. The Big 12 is getting disrespected right now. I hate it. Let's move on here. K-State winning 31-28. We just got done talking about our main podcast here. This was a monster win for Chris Kleiman and K-State. A great win for Connor Riley, the offensive coordinator. He was in his bag in this game. Basically, whatever he was calling was working. DJ Giddens was a man among men, 220 total yards, 25 carries, 182 yards, 2 catches, 38 yards. K-State was able to win a monster game in front of a sellout crowd at Folsom Field. Great win for K-State and shut up a ton of Prime, Coach Prime fans and Colorado fans.
Oh, you love to see.
You love to see it.
You just love to see a team like that, K-State going into their home, sold out crowd, all the celebrities there, under the lights, putting under a great performance. The score does not indicate the dominance of this game. I mean, it looks like it was a close game. If you actually would have watched the game, the dominance of K-State was on full display. It
should never have been this close anyways, honestly. Like, there was a couple play calls that were very conservative, but honestly, if this game was played in Manhattan, K-State wins by 3 touchdowns easily. And I don't care anything about injuries. K-State had a bunch of them as well. I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear it at all. K-State won the game. That's all that matters. And this was a big win for K-State.
I already said this earlier in the podcast. I don't want to hear the cope. I don't want to hear the cope. You guys could take your copium somewhere else. And they're not even in this chat right now. They knew as soon as they lost, they couldn't show their face. You realize that you were on the top 25. I saw that the Red River rivalry wasn't even close. Longhorns blew the doors off of Oklahoma.
That's great to see as well. I mean, I really hate Oklahoma. They ran the Big 12 forever, and now they're struggling with a new head coach. But yeah, K-State with a big win at Colorado, and
right.
I still feel like Colorado's going to have a good season. They're definitely going to get to a bowl game, but K-State's shooting for more at this point. K-State is shooting for more. So another big game. This happened in Morgantown. Iowa State winning 28-16. That is K-State's next opponent. Also in Morgantown. Big win for the Cyclones, man. They stay undefeated and atop the Big 12, 6-0 and 3-0 in the Big 12.
It's really interesting score, box score here. 0-14, 0-14. Like, what does it take them a little bit to get going? There
were some interesting drives. I'm not going to lie. There were some interesting drives that ended in very interesting ways, going forward and fourth down and all that. I got a chance to watch a little bit of it before the K-State game. I did not watch the entire game, but my gosh, 265 passing yards by Rocco Becht. Their running back had 3 touchdowns, 96 yards. I know they keep going between Hansen and Abu Sama, but I don't feel like their rushing game is exactly where they thought it would be at this point in the season. Garrett Green looked like he struggled in the game as well. Their offense really struggled in this game. But, man, I would say, you got to watch out for them. They got a very, very favorable schedule the rest of the way.
I think we got a hater here, Steve, in the chat.
I'm not even gonna look at it. We're just gonna ignore it at this point.
Yep. Next game, I suppose. Yeah, Iowa State showing that they deserve to be ranked in the top 10. I mean, they're playing really well. They're clearly, in my opinion, now, and we're going to do the power rankings. Man, this video is taking really long. Sorry for doing that 12-minute rant. They're clearly the best team in the Big 12. They're the most consistent. Their defense is undeniable. I mean, they're holding teams to like a couple scores. No, yeah, their games are low scoring games. Maybe we need to see them actually play a team with a solid offense still. That's my only nitpicking thing about Iowa State, is that like West Virginia was their toughest team to date right now.
West Virginia and Baylor are their two toughest teams they've played. Outside of, I guess, Iowa, that was a pretty big win as well. Yeah, I agree. I would say its wide receivers scare me, especially after last year to end the season. I mean, they had 39 total plays against K-State, or 38 or something like that. They had like a billion 80-yard touchdown passes against K-State to end the season. Yeah, Rocco is an underrated quarterback for Iowa State. I agree, man. And I think his dad actually got like an award or something at this game because his dad actually went to West Virginia. But yeah, this is a big win for them. But like you said, they really haven't played like a top tier team yet this season. They will soon, though. They will.
Yeah, I mean, hats off to Iowa State. When they having them undefeated and now they're ranked in the top 10, it makes it look good. Makes it look really good. So, for the Big 12 in general, and you know, I love seeing these I love seeing schools that, first of all, Steve, I don't know if you knew this, but this is the first 6-0 that Iowa State's had since 1930 or something like that.
I believe it. I 100% believe it.
They haven't started 6-0.
I'll say this, but I would say they're finally going to get 10 wins this season. For the first time in program history, Iowa State is going to win 10 games.
And they deserve it.
Unless someone gets hurt. So
they deserve it. They've always been a fun program to compete against. And as for the fans, K-State fans always respect Iowa State fans. They're probably the one school that we can even stomach outside of, obviously like non-conference schools, I guess. I mean, but in conference schools, I mean, Iowa State's if I'm not rooting for K-State, I'm definitely rooting for Iowa State. So I'll say that. And then moving on to Arizona against BYU at Provo. What time was the game here? It was kind of
it was a big noon kickoff. So I think it was actually I think it was at 3:00, but it was their big noon kickoff game. So it was like their college game day type thing, but for Fox. I think it kicked off at 3:00. But I mean, BYU, I mean, they dominated this game, even though it was 14-7 at halftime. I mean, every single mistake that Arizona made, BYU not only capitalized on it, they turned it into a touchdown every single time. They are a team that you do not want to play, because they're going to do that, man. They're going to make every single play that you do not make, and they're going to take advantage of it. Their defense is for real. I think they had 4 turnovers forced in this game. BYU is legit, dude. And I'm glad we've already played them. I didn't like the way it ended, but I'm glad K-State is not going to play them again until at least the Big 12 championship, because they are very good.
Yeah. I don't know what.
Also, by the way, don't you have something to say to BYU fans? Is there some sort of apology you need to make here, Kenny? Kenny, who did you pick in this game?
Yeah. Okay. So I am not going to pick against BYU anymore, especially when they're at home. I just can't do it. It was looking good in the first quarter. I was like, okay, looks like Arizona. The only reason why I was doing this was because Arizona lost against K-State, then beat Utah, then lost to Texas Tech. They're like flipping back and forth with their games. They're looking good one game, they're looking bad in the other game. They looked good on their away game. They looked terrible at home. And I'm thinking, okay, maybe the coin's going to flip heads this time. And it didn't. So that's my fault, BYU. I know you're a good team. I had you ranked number 1 over Iowa State last week. But I I don't know where this saying that BYU keeps saying, like, oh well, the other shoe's gonna drop. BYU at this point, just wait. They're gonna start throwing these games. I'm not seeing it. And
I've not heard you say I'm sorry yet, or I apologize. I've not
I'm
heard you say it, Kenny.
I'm getting to that, Steve. I'm getting to that. I am sorry to all the BYU fans for picking Arizona. I felt like they were going to come in and be more competitive than this. But it turns out that all the preseason hype for Utah, UCF, Arizona, all the negative preseason talk for Arizona State, the hype for KU, all of the preseason go in the trash. Everything that was talked about in the preseason is all trash. Everyone was wrong. Everyone was wrong. The only thing that that's even slightly correct was that people said that K-State, Iowa State were going to be contenders. There was no one that said that BYU was going to be in that conversation, and we're happier in the conversation. We're happy about it. But everybody else, literally everyone else, they were wrong about. And all I'm doing, Steve, I didn't watch BYU, growing up.
I watched this entire game.
No. I'm saying game. I couldn't because I was doing something. But I didn't grow up watching BYU. I don't watch BYU every single day or whatever, or every day that they play. So I'm just going off of what fans are telling me about their culture, about their team, about things that they've said about their team. And they're like, well, put the brakes on. All right. Don't rank us so high. Maybe that's like the reverse psychology thing. Like, want to have that underdog mentality all the time. I know that that's a thing, but you guys have not shown that there is going to be another shoe dropping at any point. So I apologize for listening to some of the doubters for Utah. And I don't rarely pick the underdog to win very often. And I thought maybe this would be a good game to pick Arizona because they like to go back and forth. But I apologize to BYU. Your defense is insane. I mean, it's amazing.
I mean,
it's amazing.
Yeah. Tom Terrible said it earlier. Where is it? BYU defense is a turnover creating machine.
It is. And the thing 100%. Is, I'm thinking that either their field is cursed for everybody that comes in there, or that team is just, there's something about that team that creates turnovers. I don't understand. Hey, hats off to you guys. You guys are making these. The ball is just bouncing your way this year, and that just happens sometimes. You guys just have the sauce. You have the sauce this year, and it's cool.
And you need the sauce to win. You need that sauce.
You need the sauce. You need all the sauce.
Yeah. So yeah, BYU fans, Kenny, sorry. So moving on here. Last game, ugly game. UCF is terrible. They can't figure out who their quarterback is. When you can't figure out who your quarterback is, your running back can't do anything. UCF loses at home to Cincinnati, 19-13. Ooh-wee. I think this says more about UCF than it does about Cincinnati.
Hold on, Steve. I need to just tell you this stat real quick.
Let me hear it. Give it to me, Kenny.
13 points for this game. 13 points last week. 21 points the week before that. These guys are not putting up points anywhere. I mean, the one game they in the Big 12, they scored 35, and that was a comeback win against TCU, and they won by 1 point. I mean, they're non-con
and TCU is the second worst team in the Big 12.
Their non-con games look really, really good, but not who they're playing against.
They lost big time to Florida.
Well, that. But I'm saying the ones early in the season, UCF versus New Hampshire, 57-3, 45-14, and it's funny
New
because
Hampshire.
New Hampshire, right? Well, those games give RJ Harvey the top, and he's in the top 10 for rushing because of those games. Because look, in the New Hampshire game, let's take a look here. Player stats: RJ Harvey, 142 yards for 11 carries. He was averaging 12 yards a carry in that game. Then you go to the Sam Houston game. Player stats: RJ Harvey, 126 yards on 19 carries. Like, they look impressive in those games. And then TCU, which we know TCU is an absolutely horrible team. UCF, RJ Harvey, 180 yards, 29 carries, 6 yards a carry average. Other than that, they have literally done nothing. Absolutely nothing. Colorado, we just saw that what Colorado can do against a good running team. UCF, look at RJ Harvey's number: 77 yards, 16 carries. DJ did 100. That's their best running back, and DJ did 180 against Florida. RJ Harvey, 75 yards for 16 carries.
UCF is god awful. Third or fourth worst team in the Big 12 right now. They stink.
Easily. They don't.
But
And
I want to
what's
say
funny
something about
is
Cincinnati, though. I do want to say something about Cincinnati.
real quick. One of my favorite quotes that keeps being said about UCF is that they don't know how to throw a forward pass. All right, go ahead.
That's true. That's true. I want to say this about Cincinnati. They're 4-2, and honestly, they probably should be 5-1 had they not blown a 21-point home lead against Pitt. Pitt's a decent team, but I mean, I think Cincinnati is a lot better than people are giving them credit for. I mean, they might be better than Colorado. I don't know. They're right up there. Good offense, bad defense. Their defense showed up in this game, though. I think they have a pretty decent shot of going and getting 7 or 8 wins this season. We will see. I haven't looked at their schedule, but considering what they've already done this year, I mean, they're on pace to go 8-4. So
didn't somebody say that like they're literally like 30 seconds and 2 plays away from being undefeated?
They are. I mean, they lost by 3 to Texas Tech, and then they lost by 1 to Pitt. So yeah, they realistically, like you said, could be 6-0 and ranked in the top 10. So I mean, they're right there, dude. They really are. So I do think they have a chance to get 7 or 8 wins this season. Cincinnati is tough. If it weren't for BYU, they'd be getting all the talk about how improved they are over last year. Them and Arizona State, man, those two teams are so much better than everyone thought they'd be. And KU and UCF are so much worse than everyone thought they'd be.
And Utah. You got to throw Utah in there now.
And
yeah,
Utah, you're right.
You have to throw Utah in there. But yeah, like I agree with you, Steve. It's like you had this idea of doing this like 3 up, 3 down. We haven't even done our power ranking, Steve. This video is taking forever, and it's my fault. Well, yeah, like you said, the teams that have shocked in a good way were like no one thought, and no one had any idea that Arizona was going to come out and play this well. Even Texas Tech fans didn't realize Texas Tech was going to come out and play this well. It's looked ugly, but they got wins. They got W's next to their games. So I don't know what you want from them. You know, it's like all you can ask for is getting the dub, because at the end of the day, no one's going to remember, like you said, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years from now. No one's going to be like, oh, remember how close that game was? They're just going to see the W next to the name, and that's all that matters.
Absolutely. But yeah, that's the look around the Big 12 for week 7.